Today, the girls and I are going to help you beat that summer heat with some breezy, cool, tiered palazzo pants. The joyful pattern was first put out for the Anne Fitzpatrick 12-inch doll and is now available for Ellowyne and the RTB101 body dolls. Let's go ahead and get started. The pants consist of just 4 simple pattern pieces shown here. We have the front of the pants and the back of the pants, the first tier of the pants, and then the lower tier. In order to get started, we're going to take the front and back of the pants and sew them together at the side seams. Next, we'll clip into the seam allowance and press the seams open. We'll grab the lower tier section, we'll hem the lower edge, and then we'll run a gathering stitch along the top edge. With our lower tier hemmed and also with that gathering stitch running across the top edge, we're going to place it right sides together to the middle tier. I've placed a press mark at the center of both pieces so that I have a visual reference. Then I'm going to pull those gathers equally across that middle tier, pin it in place, and sew it in place. When you're finished sewing the lower tier to the middle tier, you're going to check both sides. If you see the gathering stitch below that seam, you're going to pull it out. We're actually going to run a gathering stitch along the top edge, take it over to the ironing board, and press the seam allowance up. With our seam allowance pressed up, we're going to grab the top of our pants. We're going to match the centers just like we did on the lower tier. We're going to pull the gathering stitches to equal that distance and pin it in place, then sew it in place. As with the other tier, we're going to check both sides and then we're going to press the seam allowance up. With our seam allowance pressed up, we're going to place the pants right sides together and sew the center front crotch seam. We'll clip into the seam allowance and press that seam open. Next, we're going to turn the waist edge down 3/8 of an inch and give it a press to form the casing for the elastic. At this stage, I would recommend, though, that you trim back the seam allowance pretty close to that seam so that when you're running the elastic through the casing, you're not getting caught on those seams. With our casing in place, we'll grab our elastic, run it through the casing, secure it at one end, and get a fit to the doll's waist. When fitting the pants to the doll's waist, you do want to remember that you want to easily be able to pull it down off of the doll's hips. Let's secure that second side. With our elastic secured, we're going to place the pants right sides together and sew the center back crotch seam. With the center back seam sewn, we're going to clip into the seam allowance and press the seam open. Our final step is to place the pants with right sides together, matching each of the tiers and the hemline, and sewing the inner thigh seam. With our inner thigh seam sewn, we're going to press that seam open and get some final photographs of our project on our doll. As you can see from the photographs, Anne and her big sister Grace definitely look great twinning in this joyful outfit. Since the pattern's release, I've already had additional requests to put it out in different sizes. The two most frequent requests so far have been for Smart Doll and for the Ippelhaus FID doll. If you'd be interested in seeing the pattern in one of those two sizes, please list that in the comments section below. As always, I thank you guys for your time and for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you enjoy the new pattern for your dolls, and I can't wait to see what you make.